So I had this goal, and it's a weird goal because the goal was, before Battlefield 6 comes out, make a story video on every single Battlefield game. And as of today, we have done that. And the reason why I finished it off this week is because next week on the 26th of September, we are getting the campaign, the story showcase for Battlefield 6 at the Tokyo Game Show. And of course, we're going to be diving into that, talking about what the story of Battlefield 6 is going to be. And then I have a couple different story videos for Battlefield planned before the launch of the game on October 10th. But we started out with Battlefield 3, going through Battlefield 4, even hardlined. Last week we dove into Battlefield 1, and this week we have Battlefield 5. Now, Battlefield 5 is an interesting one because many games have come out in the past that were World War II stories. We've seen Normandy in shooter games. We've seen the battle on the Eastern and Western front, but Battlefield 5 does things a little bit different. It humanizes the war and shows us individual stories from views that you may not have heard or even seen before, including going into what may be the best set of missions in a first-person shooter ever, diving into the German side of things, which I've never seen done in a first-person shooter before. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the story of Battlefield 5. Where Battlefield 1 tried to individualize soldiers and paint the story of their lives and how they were affected by maybe the front lines or flying an airplane, Battlefield 5 does something a little bit different. It more so personalizes individual armies, and not necessarily saying the good or the bad, but more so focusing on how death on either side is just as real. And in the first mission that they show us in Norway, everything is on your side until a tank appears. A tank which on the other side has someone on a different army, and as they say,
but death is death, no matter where you are. And suffering is the same in every language.
The line of suffering is the same in every language is increasingly more important throughout this story, as in this video here, we see Peter Muller, someone who we'll become more familiar with later, but a tank commander for the Germans, go into Tobruk. Now this character doesn't quite die, at least yet, but then we go to Tunisia. This specific mission here takes place in a place called Kasserine Pass in the year 1942. Now, if you've played a specific Call of Duty game, you may or may not know why this mission is so important, and I'm gonna leave that one with you for the comment sections to see if you know it. Now, in this mission, you play as a sniper, and things are seemingly going pretty well until the airplane gets the best of the sniper.
Total war brought death home. It wasn't just about the soldiers on the front. This time, the crosshairs found the workers on the assembly line. They found the commuters on the train. And they found the children in the schools.
And what Battlefield 5 tells us is that it's not just the soldiers, it's the airmen, it's the conscripts, it's the industrial workers. It was everyone who was affected by this period of time. And as we go into the individual war stories, I don't want you to just think of the person behind the gun. I want you to think of the person behind the crosshair as well. And as we go into the first story, this is a story of the son of a bank robber and a bank robber himself, someone by the name of Billy Bridger.
Are you Billy Bridger? It says on my pad here, criminal use of explosives, assault, attempted armed robbery, arson, attempted armed robbery. Did you try and rob the same bank 3 times?
No.
Oh, yes, you did. Because you're Billy Bridger. You are the son of big, bad, horrible Arthur Bridger. I'm Arthur fucking Bridger. Give me the fucking money. Now that's your dad, isn't it? So how comes he didn't get sent down with you then?
Because I did all them jobs on your own.
Oh, yeah? I've got a little deal for you. I'm putting together a unit. You're gonna fucking love it. It's right up your street, your sort of thing. And it's got to be better than being in there.
I'll be fine. What sort of unit?
Tell me, Bridger. Do you like to see something?
This is how Billy Bridger joins the Royal Navy, a unit specifically called the Special Boat Service. Now, this was at the time when the Army was falling short on people, and they would take people from all walks of life, some of which were criminals. Criminals taken in and basically given time served for their service in the military, or in this case, the Navy. And this time, they were pulling up on shore in Africa underneath someone by the name of George Mason.
Oh, Bridger, liven yourself up, come on. There's a lovely little ice cream shop down there, and I'm treating you to a cornet.
Now, Bridger and Mason end up making their way through the beach and eventually get to an airbase, where their objective is to destroy a Stuka aircraft. Now, using Bridger's experience with explosives from robbing banks, Mason thinks it's a good job to put him in control of blowing up the aircrafts, and that's exactly what they do. But let's just say it doesn't really go according to plan.
Jesus Christ, Bridger, did you plant your bombs or not?
Wait for it.
I'm telling you now, these special explosives of yours, they better be really fucking special.
Wait for it.
Bridger.
Any second now.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Sweet Jesus. Here we are, up Fritz's shitter, and I ask you to do one thing. One fucking thing that you tell me that you're a big expert
Can I
in.
just say
No, you
it?
can't, because what the fucking hell was that?
I've occasionally had teething problems.
Teething problems? Don't make me fucking laugh. I could have done that with a fucking light breeze, a speck of rain, or a tiny teeny bird perched on that wing would have done more damage.
So now, because of this, they need to find another way to take out the plane. Luckily, at the airbase, there is anti-air guns, which means Billy Bridger takes control of one of those, ends up taking the planes out of the sky, but in doing so, Mason ends up getting injured. Luckily for them, though, an enemy jeep comes running across them, and, well, let's just say they procured it for themselves.
Verfluchte Scheiße!
So now, with their procured vehicle, they are able to make their way, and Billy still has one job: exploding a whole bunch of stuff. The only problem is Mason is no longer going to be able to help him. So Mason tells him what to do, where to go, gives him the explosives for it, but still, Bridger looks a little bit suspect and worried to leave Mason behind.
You're gonna have to do this next one on your own, all right? Just like you did all those banks, remember?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll get it done, no bother. You all right?
Yeah, of course I am. Listen, take this. This goes bang and everything.
Right. I'll get down there and finish it up. Get you some help. I'm holding you to that deal.
Yeah, just do the job and we'll see. I want to have a little kip in this shithole. Don't stand there staring at me. Move. Go.
Now, Billy blows up a lot of stuff. He blows up some radio gear, blows up some munitions, and eventually finds himself inside of a bunker. Now, in that bunker, he ends up getting some medical equipment to give to Mason to try to make him better, but also sees a radio and immediately hops on and radios to the Navy for help, thinking he is absolutely doing the right thing, and eventually blows everything up, makes his way back to Mason, and everything is seemingly good. That is until they have a massive army following behind them, because you see, when Billy let the Navy know where they are, he also let everyone else know where they were as well.
I'll radio the boat.
No. No, 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 no. Oh, Jesus Christ. You have just told every cunt of an Iron Cross exactly where we are. You're useless.
Fucking know that, don't I? I did roll those bags for myself, all right?
Yeah, well, no surprise there.
I did it with me dad. He said I was useless just like you, and then he fucked off and let me take the fall for it.
No, listen to me, you're not... You're not useless. Why do you think that I recruited you for in the first fucking place?
No idea.
Because you're a trier. Like them banks you tried to rob. Even though you fucked up, you kept trying.
And what good's that now? Then I come for a side, eh?
This is war, son. We fight one battle and then we fight another one until it's done. What you gonna do? Feel sorry for yourself and just fucking lay down and die? Or are you Billy Bridger, a trier?
Yeah, I suppose.
I can't hear you!
Yes! I am. Oh, Billy fucking Bridger!
Good boy, that's what I want to hear. Right, how about you join your old mate and we go and kill a load of sauerkraut munchers?
Yes, please.
So now, essentially, they're stuck. They have no more vehicle, and all they can really do is defend themselves in the position that they're in. And they're doing so, they're taking out tanks, they're taking out airplanes, they're doing their best, but then everyone shows up. And when everything seems lost, well, it looks like Billy did something right.
I'm so sorry, Bridger.
Yeah, me too, mate. Did our best, though, eh? I don't believe it!
Yeah, boys! You found us!
It's the fucking cavalry! They're here, son! We're saved!
They came back for us. They actually came back.
The next mission takes place in Norway in the year 1943. This is 3 years after German occupation of Norway, where over 400,000 German soldiers have essentially completely taken over. Now, a group of British commandos, along with some Norwegian rebels, are trying to fight back against what the Germans are doing here. We pick up in an interrogation of someone by the name of Astrid Bjornstad. Now, as far as this character goes, at the very beginning, we do not know much about why she is being held. However, we know she is being held. And this is where we pick up with another character, one of the Norwegian rebels, who is going in and trying to get this prisoner taken out. So we started on the mountain with skis, and we ski our way down towards the facility, going for one reason: to break this person out. But as of right now, we don't know why. And in fact, we wouldn't know why until we actually get there.
Solveig? Mamma? Hva gjør du her?
So the character who you are playing is the daughter of Astrid. Now, what we're trying to do here is get her mother out and get her home safe. However, she says we can't do that until we prove and show what the Germans are doing here in Norway, because if we don't, millions could die. So we end up going into one of the offices and getting the evidence, and lo and behold, what they're doing here is creating heavy water. In other words, irradiated water, which can then be used for something like a nuclear bomb. Something that they actually never got to the bottom of by the end of World War II, but that's a whole other story. However, as you go to escape, you say, we gotta shut this plant down, so you, along with your mother, go and blow up some turbines and put a cease and desist to whatever is going on here. Now, eventually you end up escaping and you meet on a bridge, and you are about to escape when you get trapped in. However, Astrid, your mother, ends up sacrificing herself in order for you to escape. That being said, it was a very, very rocky landing.
Forstår du?
catch it there, what happened is Astrid handed her the satchel with the evidence inside it and threw her off the bridge in order to keep her safe. I don't know how she survived, but apparently she did. And now she has to make her way to the dead drop so that she can get the evidence of the heavy water just out there in the world so people know what the Germans are doing. Now, she works her way to the dead drop. Things end up getting worse when a winter storm picks up and actually blows the manifesto out of her hands. And, well, this is kind of what happens. Now, she somehow is able to get out of the water, but quickly hypothermia is setting in, and she has two options. She can curl up in a ball and give up, or she can, well, quite literally go into beast mode and find a cabin nearby where she can warm up. And that's exactly what she does. She finds a nearby German cabin, gets in, and warms up for the next day. And throughout all of this, she decides she's not just gonna bring the information to the dead drop, she is going to put an end to this heavy water project and in turn try to save her mom. Now, at this point, she doesn't know whether or not her mom's alive, dead, what is going on with her, but she knows about the heavy water project, and she ends up working her way into a German bunker where he finds vehicles getting loaded with this heavy water to be taken back to Germany, as well as finding her mother. So she hunts down the vehicles, and eventually, well, a U-boat appears. So with her daughter pinned down and her on the U-boat, she's tied up. She really can't do anything. So Astrid doesn't really know what to do. But what she does know is the Germans cannot bring this heavy water back to Germany. She knows how deadly this atomic weapon project can actually be. So Astrid is essentially left with one final option.
Jeg så stolt av deg, Solveig.
This is a story of French soldiers that you maybe never saw or maybe even never heard of. It takes place in 1944, right after the Normandy landings, and all of a sudden there was a massive turning point for the Allied powers. The French colonial troops were a small group of these. Now, when these troops were sent to the French mainland, they were not meant for frontline fighting. However, a French captain gave them a specific mission: destroy German AA guns. Now, the two main characters in this story go by the name of Demey and Idrissa. Now, as far as these two characters go, they're brothers, but one of them is younger by the name of Demey, and Idrissa has a whole family back at home, and that is what he's concerned about, is getting home to his family. And the advice he gives his little brother is simple: just stay alive. And they are actually successful, doing what other French troops weren't able to do. They were able to destroy the AA guns and hold their position.
Laisse-le partir, petit frère.
Idrissa, est-ce qu'on a gagné?
Ils ont tous fui. Alors, sauf s'ils ont changé les règles du jeu. Waouh, on a gagné.
On a gagné?
Cessez le feu! On a gagné.
On a gagné! On les a eus! On les a battus! On a gagné!
And this is just the beginning of them slowly figuring out that yes, they may have won the battle, but they have not yet won the war. As they push forth, they didn't want to just win for their country. They also wanted the notoriety for people to see what they could truly accomplish. And they did. They accomplished over and over. But eventually they ran into a problem. And they find this upon speaking to a wounded and dying German troop. We end up finding out that they're kind of screwed. Right now, in the position that they are holding, they are surrounded by German troops. And if they retreat back to their base, the Germans have already covered that location. So no matter what they do, whether they push forward, retreat, or stay in the position, they're screwed. So the only thing that they are left and able to do is attack a position that the enemies would not think that they would attack. A castle being held by the Germans. Now, this is when Idris and Deme kind of get into an argument. Idris just worried about getting home to his family, and Deme wanting to push forth so that they can get the notoriety that they so deserve. Now, somehow, against all odds, they end up making their way to the castle, fighting their way inside, and when they do, there is a lot more of a resistance there than they were waiting for. In fact, a lot more vehicles and enemy vehicles manned by enemies waiting for them, one of which was a tank. So Deme, injured by the tank, Idris is able to drag him to safety. However, the tank is getting closer and closer, and there's only one thing left that Idris can do, and that is take care of the tank.
Idrissa! Idrissa!
So the older brother, the family man, the one with kids, Idrissa, passes away. But Deme lives on, and lives on to tell the tale of his older brother. However, here's the sad part. They end up taking the fort, taking it from the Germans, saving the POWs who are inside, and even the person that sent them in, the captain that had faith in them, goes ahead and takes a picture with them. However, when that picture makes it back, a couple of people are removed from that picture, washed out of that picture, and hidden from what really happened on that day. The Last Tiger follows the Germans, the bad guys, if you will, and specifically follows the leader of Peter Mueller and his driver for his tank by the name of Kurtz. Now, we are in Cologne, Germany, and essentially we are defending the area against the United States Army that is pushing in with their whole armored assault going on as well. Now, we are a part of Tiger 237, and we go through and we eliminate a bunch of armored columns, we eliminate a bunch of enemies, and things are seemingly going well. That is until Tiger 237 is assaulted by some air support. However, they are able to find some cover in a nearby building, but they don't really know what's going on, and they need scouts, but they don't have any scouts. So in the tank crew, someone by the name of Schroeder nominates the youngest person on the tank by the name of Hartman to go out and be the scout. And he is sitting there, he is shaking in his boots, terrified to even exit this tank because of what is going on around him. But Peter Mueller agrees and sends out Hartman to scout out what is going on. And as he makes his way across the street searching for the enemies, he eventually is covered by dust. And as that dust begins to clear, Hartman is no longer anywhere to be seen.
Wo ist Hauptmann? Wo ist der hin?
Der desertiert.
Das wissen Sie doch gar nicht. Ruhe! Hören Sie das?
Bewegung auf 9 Uhr.
Und auf 12 Uhr.
Kerz, bringen Sie uns raus hier!
Wir können doch Hartmann nicht hier lassen!
Raus, los!
And all of a sudden, they are surrounded by hundreds, if not thousands, of allied tanks. And their immediate thing, the really only thing they are able to do, is completely and utterly retreat. Now, as they are pulling their retreat, they start to hear that any sensitive materials in regards to the war or anything to hide from the enemies needs to be destroyed immediately, as the Allied assault is completely taking over the area. And that's exactly what we do. So from here, we retreat all the way back to a cathedral, which the Germans are supposed to have an outpost set up at. However, upon getting there, you see kids out in the street, houses, homes completely ravaged due to the war, and a bunch of people dead, hanging there. These people were not just people, they were German soldiers, called deserters by the German army. You see, as the Allies started to win, some of the German troops started to give up. As to reinforce never giving up for Germany, they would take these people, kill them anyway, string them up, and label them so that they would not desert their own army. And speaking of which, remember how Hartmann disappeared, running away from that massive Allied assault? Well, guess who they find as a deserter?
Hartmann? Dieser Idiot!
Halten Sie den Mund! Er hat seine Pflicht getan, wie befohlen.
Seine Pflicht? Nein, er war ein Verräter.
Einer von uns. Fahren Sie weiter zum Hauptquartier.
So Muller actually stands up for Hartmann and said he did his job. He was not a deserter, and then tells the tank crew to retreat all the way back to the headquarters. However, as they are retreating back to the headquarters, their tank breaks. The treads, in fact, break off, and they are quite literally stuck. And the Allied, well, they're coming. Now, this is when they realize that they have been screwed by their own army. They blew up the bridge to stop the Allied assault, but completely deserting the members of their army that were left behind.
Die haben uns verraten. Die haben die Brücke gesprengt. Die wollen uns hier verrecken lassen.
Das weißt du nicht, Kerz. Komm, wir müssen jetzt...
Was? Stärke zeigen. Hä? Ach Gott doch mal. Sieh dich doch um, Peter. Gott steh uns bei. Alles, woran wir geglaubt haben. Alles, was wir dafür getan haben. Es ist vorbei.
Now, these guys have been in the same tank together for years. They have become very close, and now Kurtz, the driver of the tank, is becoming a deserter, completely giving up on his army altogether, not caring what it means for him, as he knows he's pretty much dead anyway. And then this happens.
Er war ein Verräter.
Kerz! Kerz!
Schroeder shoots Kurtz, calling him a deserter, but the friendship reigns supreme. Over their allegiance to their country, he gets out of the vehicle, and he tries to save him, but essentially it's too late. And Schroeder yells at him to get back in the vehicle as the Allied assault moves closer and closer. Now you can see the look on Muller's face when he finally gives up on his own army. When he has to ask the questions whether or not calling his own people deserters makes him actually potentially the bad guy. Now, as he gives up and takes off his medals, Schroeder actually turns to him and starts to look at him as a deserter. And as Mueller stands up, he gives in to the Allied assault, putting his hands up in the air, but Schroeder turns on him. And the only question we have left to ask at the very end of this game is, what is the final weapon that we hear? Is it Schroeder getting shot by the American grease gun, or Mueller being killed by the German MP40?